Hello, Nation. Once again, I am here with my good friend and colleague, Jeremy Pettus. Now, this Edelman report is the second of two Edelman reports based on a lecture that Jeremy gave at the infamous One Conference in San Diego. The top 10 tips to stay cool with diabetes. Not your typical tips. Now, if you want to watch 1 through 5, you got to go back and look at our archives. But we're going to talk about 6 through 10. Jeremy?
All right, so number 6 is educate your family how to act right with type 1 diabetes. So what I mean by that is sometimes, well-intentioned spouses or family members can get hysterical about different things, and we have to teach them how to help us. Now, specifically, this comes up a lot with, when your blood sugar is low. And teaching your spouse, how to help recognize when I'm low, what they can do to kind of help you. I really advise not having this conversation when you're actually low and you're probably throwing things and a little bit grumpy. So just sitting down in a calm moment and saying, hey, these are the things that could really help me with my diabetes. It might just be carrying stuff for me or carrying, low supplies. And here's some things that are less helpful.
Yeah, and I think it's really good to sit down and say, dear or honey, what are some of the things that I do with my diabetes that bugs you? Let them tell you about the things that bug them, and you can work out a plan so that it doesn't cause much consternation.
I'll never forget when I was first diagnosed. I was 15. We went to get breakfast with my family, and they gave me regular syrup. And my dad yelled across the whole restaurant to the waiter that I had diabetes and needed the low sugar syrup. And so I had to educate him then about that wasn't helpful.
And your kids too. I mean, my kids, when they didn't like what I was telling them, they'd say, Dad, go check your blood sugar. And I'll tell you what, it just takes communication. If your partner drives you crazy, it all comes from a place of love. Taking all these important tips from Bill Polonsky, you just have to educate them. They want to help you. You got to just show them the best way to do it.
The last thing that I would say about that, though, is take some time to think about what actually would be helpful. Take some time to maybe write them down or think about it before you have this conversation.
Yeah, and some of our loved ones follow our blood sugars, on the sharing app. And I think it's really important to give them clear directions on what to do. For me, Jeremy follows me. If I'm below 55 and my trend arrow's like this, don't worry about it. But if it's 2 arrows down and I'm 45, wouldn't mind texting me. And if I don't answer, text my girlfriend, something like that.
Yeah. So lots of tips there.
I have 5 people that follow me, and I purposely get low to see which one calls me first. Then I rate your diet buddies. Okay.
All right, next one is stay educated, which I think is a great one for Steve to do.
Yeah, basically, what's the purpose of this whole organization and the title of it? Taking control of your diabetes. Education is power. Education is everything. It helps you work with your caregiver to get the best care possible. And most doctors can't keep up with all the advances in diabetes. We're diabetes specialists. We have a hard time keeping up. So you know what? Be smart and be persistent, and that's 2 of the 3 most important themes of taking control of your diabetes. And the last one is, you are your own best advocate. Be smart, know what you need to stay healthy, go out and get it.
Yeah, and I would say if you think that your diabetes specialist isn't up to date, you're probably right. That doesn't mean that they're a bad doctor or whatever. It's just that there's so much changing, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So you really have to advocate for yourself. And importantly, try to notice patterns. Gosh, I'm high at night, or I go low after lunch or whatever. Because if you come into your provider already kind of, with some ideas of things that you can work on, that becomes a much more productive visit.
Look at your CGM report. That's key. Mm-hmm. Help your caregiver take better care of you. That's what it's all about.
All right. So this next one is health maintenance. And the way I described it was pay as much attention to other aspects of your health as you do your diabetes. We bang our heads against the wall, looking at our blood sugars all the time, dosing insulin, all the things to control our blood sugars. We work our butts off. But a lot of times we let blood pressure and cholesterol just kind of go by the wayside because sometimes we deem them as less important. But when it comes to heart disease, these things are actually more important. And they're actually much easier to treat. Taking a blood pressure pill or some medications for your cholesterol. So to keep those things in mind, know what your goals are and how to reach them.
You know what? In this excellent book written by me and friends, Jeremy is a friend and he's the author in many of the chapters. we have a thing called the diabetes warranty program. We had it from the beginning. And basically, it's just like our cars. You go to the regular scheduled maintenance visits, your car should run better and last longer. But not to get too morbid, but the most common cause of passing away for people with type 1 is heart disease. Blood pressure, cholesterol, getting on an aspirin if you're a good candidate for it. So it's a great tip. We have to remember about all the other things in life. And Jeremy's right. Once you get them under control, it's pretty even, Steven.
Yeah.
I love that phrase.
All right, so number 9 is cut through the noise. And what I mean by this is, especially as type 1s, a lot of times you'll hear things that just aren't true and they can be aggravating. People tell you, gosh, if you just lost some weight, you could come off of insulin. Or don't you know they have a cure for diabetes, but they make too much money off the treatment, so they're not telling us these conspiracy theories.
That bugs me.
Yeah. So we hear these things all the time, and you just have to decide for yourself how much you want to engage with this, correcting people or not about these kind of misconceptions of diabetes. So I would say 1 is figuring out how you want to filter through that noise. And 2, finding trustable sources of good information. Don't just blindly Google things because you'll hear everything. So going to the TCOID website, JDRF, American Diabetes Association, and focus on that good information and put away the rest of the crap.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of false promises out there, and they've been sort of preying on these folks with diabetes, their family members, since the discovery of insulin. So just be careful for claims that are just too good to believe, including new stem cell clinics that are popping up, taking thousands of dollars and stealing it from these folks, basically.
All right, so number 10 is celebrate the victories.
Can you pass the bourbon, please?
Yes, so.
The shot glasses.
Oh, I didn't know we're actually celebrating right now.
Yeah, we're going to drink.
So what do I mean by this? Is that, in diabetes, what are we doing? We're working our butts off again. For what purpose? And the ultimate goal with diabetes is that nothing happens, that we don't get neuropathy, that we don't get low. And you can never work your whole life to achieve a negative. You're always just kind of chasing it. So you have to celebrate some positives.
Yeah.
Your A1C is better than it was last time. You got an eye exam and there's no complications or everything's stable. Or even just getting a bolus right for something that you don't normally eat, just nailing it. You can just feel like a total boss for just doing that. All these little things that are worth celebrating. Your diaversary, the time that you were diagnosed with diabetes, celebrate that every year with some bourbon or whatever you want.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, basically, I think I look at this concept as we're now on the offensive, not the defensive. Waiting for some complication to creep in and get us. We're on the offensive now because we can do things to prevent it.
Yeah.
And, having a blood sugar high for a day, a week, a couple months is not going to cause any long-term damage, and that's important to remember too.
Yeah. So
all right.
What are we celebrating?
We're celebrating living a long and healthy life with diabetes, and that we are now on the offensive.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. So long, nation.